welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's weekend show. This is our Broiler Chicken Show. My apologies for starting so late, but if anything, maybe that's good. I have to hit the road at 1:30 or 1 o'clock, beg your pardon, my time on the West Coast here. So that means a short video today. Regardless, we don't really have any choice. If anything, probably what we should do is right out from the get-go, let's see whether there are any questions. It looks like there's just one so far. So if you do have questions, if you are in the level 1 program, actually, if you're in any of the education programs, feel free to pop on the AMA document. Chris, you posted that in the lounge, I hope. And be sure to add your question. Let's see, do we see it in there? Members Lounge, AMA, there it is. All right, so you have the opportunity to ask me. If there's only one question here, then I won't stress too much about that. Maybe Chris can just keep that in the back of his mind. I don't see anybody over here writing, so we did just start the new level 1 program. In fact, actually the whole school program. And I'm in there teaching the level 3 kids this term. We've got, of course, Grim rocking level 1 like a boss. And we've got Marat, Mr. Gan aficionado himself, rocking level 2. So we're firing on all cylinders. Newsletter we put together. In fact, I had a little bit of a hard time writing this sort of summary this week. I'm at a bit of a crossroads. It's interesting how the media keeps getting sort of spoon-fed this message, and I'm not quite sure why. Whatever the price, the stock market's moving up, people are bidding up because they're anticipating the Fed cutting interest rates. I don't know where we could possibly get the idea that the Fed is going to cut interest rates. We just had copper prices move to all-time highs. That in itself, technically, copper is the professor of economics, and that's what I had sort of pointed out here about halfway through this rant here. If you guys noticed when I did that chat with the Wall Street silver people, of course, silver prices are just booming higher. So I'm sure you're probably all well aware of that. And actually, a really handy tool. That's interesting. Oh, there we go. Really handy tool for you to sort of gauge how the economy is doing. I've been talking to site members about this recently. Is the gold silver ratio, right? And of course, with silver outperforming here, that means the ratio between the price of 1 ounce of gold and the price of 1 ounce of silver is contracting, and that's actually a very bullish sign for the economy. And this thing's been heavily out of whack for a very, very long period of time. So you can see there's my little sort of teachings for the site. So, and if you just think about it in simplest terms, right? The end of the Soviet Union, and of course, heading into that dot-com boom, that was a very bullish time for the economy. Silver prices getting bid up nicely. Silver is like a industrial metal, if you will. Then, of course, we went through Junior Bush's train wreck of an economy and the way they, kind of screwed everything up. And ironically enough, actually, that's what we're living with in the aftermath today. They lent way too much money out. And that was on the bankers' behest. It wasn't like any Well, I think you could argue George Bush Jr. helped the situation, saying every American should be a homeowner, i.e. every American should have a mortgage, because very few people can actually own a home outright. these days. You hear me, I won't go into debt. I won't do the mortgage thing. So I'm sitting here on a $500,000 cash going, okay, where can I buy a house in China with a $500,000 cash? I want to live here, of course, in the lower mainland because that's where Liam has all his subsidies. And, in Vancouver, the average house is like 2 million bucks. So it's ridiculous. So anyway, point of the matter here is, of course, we had the great financial crisis, and that was this ratio shooting up here. And then, of course, the solution: let's go and print money and just give everybody tons and tons of money. And then, of course, the aftermath of that whole money printing. Let's see how bad the situation's really going to get. And vroom. Interesting how that actually hit an apex there, just as the money printers were given the green light to go and print all the money they ever wanted, right? Remember, even Chappelle, right, even was like, oh, you better go and print a bunch of money. Remember March 2020 and all that. Remember one politician down says, I will sacrifice my life to save capitalism. You got to be kidding me. Anyway, so on that sort of green light that, hey, we can go print all the money we want, the economy just took off like a rocket. Then sort of a year or two later, 2020. Oh, you mean there's something called inflation? What's that? Really? So inflation comes roaring back. The economy, everybody's kind of dealing with the new reality. Great reset, Klaus, and all that crap. That's what all this inflation crap is. And keep in mind, inflation is an entirely made up word. What you really need to be saying is, how many of these dollar things does it take to buy 1 ounce of gold? And if you keep increasing these dollar things in the marketplace, obviously it's going to take more and more and more of these dollar things just to keep everything level and stable. And there's your inflation. That's just good old Uncle Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman. I think that was his name. Anyway, look at my Twitter feed. I repeatedly post his lectures from the 1970s when we went through exactly the same thing last cycle. One thing I have noticed about these cycles recently is it seems like they're like forward loading the cycle. This cycle, I mean, this isn't the best image to show you, but if we look at the fear greed cycle, that's like the Dow gold ratio. This thing actually was supposed to top, or actually, I guess, bottom, if you will, through 1718. But notice, like, this was the top of that fear greed cycle. And I think you could make the argument that George Bush Jr. and all of his cronies, they sort of front loaded. They knew that this cycle was going to happen, and they front loaded it. So the back half of the cycle was a little bit sort of not real, if you will. So interestingly enough, even this kind of image right here, we could very easily see the gold silver ratio, or actually gold Dow ratio. How many ounces of gold does it take to buy one Dow Jones Industrial Unit? You could actually see that even the metals prices even rally quite substantially, and we still won't be back to that cycle peak that we saw there, at the end of all the money printing. I know the solution to us doing really bad business is to go and screw over the citizens and dilute the crap out of the money supply and create hyperinflation for them. Thanks, Ben Bernanke. Hugs and kisses. Love you dearly. So anyway, we are now into the next greed cycle. And in a weird sort of way, like it's almost like these guys in this cycle, they kind of robbed the millennial generation. That's the whole thing of, if we go and mortgage our kids' futures, right, by taking on more debt, right, that's literally what we're living in. Is these people, the baby boomers and George Bush Sr., I think they call them the silent generation or something like that, greatest generation, I can't remember. Anyway, they continually just keep mortgaging their kids' futures And so as a result, welcome to our new reality. McDonald's fucking hamburgers like $18 down in the States. So anyway, so I guess just the point that I would make here, and this was the whole point of the newsletter. Actually, not that image. Back over here is the economy is actually doing very, very well. The economy itself, and in a weird sort of way, this is exactly what Chappelle said at the very end of his last statement. That last meeting, everybody in the public, of course, is moaning and complaining about the higher prices of everything. But remember, this was all built into this back like 10 years ago. When we look at the money supply, I've shown you the money supply growth, and that's old news. It's not new news, which is so sad. But anyway, the point here is he said, I see neither stag nor inflation. I'll tell you, this image right here unto itself and these lower highs and lower lows here on this gold silver ratio is a number one anecdotal evidence that there is no stagging. I still think there's plenty of inflating, but the inflating's already been done. We just as consumers have to get used to our new reality. Thank you, bankster crooks. Klaus, you would eat bugs and you will be happy. But actually, this image right here is actually an image of a growing economy. And then sort of to further that conversation, the only question is, I don't know which screen. Actually, a little cute little silver stock that I'm interested in. Look at that chart. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. I mean, that's just everything that we teach in our education program. Rolled back stock, options to directors. Even a really big guy in the gold industry, a guy by the name of Rob McEwen, who is ironically enough, he's a cousin of mine, but he was the founder of Gold Corp, and he's actually taken a major position in this little thing. Beautiful little stock, just perfect, pretty princess, pretty. But anyway, that's not the purpose of today's conversation, but it is an interesting anecdote about the silver industry, because these guys actually in the gold and silver like mining business, they've been dying 1,000 deaths forever. But like ironically enough, a lot of silver mines actually really they're copper mines, and silver is just a byproduct. So if we look at copper prices, look at what's going on in copper. Is that a sign of a weak economy or a strong economy? I mean, maybe things are getting a little bit ahead of themselves. Williams percentage are heavily overbought here, so you can't really justify buying that market. But wow, that's not a sign of a weak market. That's a sign of a strong market, right? This is it's called Professor of Economics, and if you just think about it, it's just especially with all these damn EVs. I mean, the amount of electric wiring and all that kind of stuff they take. I think you could actually make the argument that we've got like a bot setup working here. Let's go bot trade. There we are. So actually, wow, look at that. So you can see literally the market set up the bot entry level trade. Pretty little inverted head and shoulders. This is a really good example of where sometimes with the bot, if I see this inverted head and shoulders, I'll use that. And really, you can make the argument 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows, 4 lows, plenty of lows to work with, to risk against. And probably this trend probably just is something like that. This thing will not be a bear until you actually see bearish market structure, i.e. an M, below this line. That might take a long time, might take years for that development. Then if you start thinking about upside objectives, we can start applying crazy things like chaos theory. And we can start thinking about, okay, where the hell does this thing want to go? 2.618 up there at about 5 3/4, but 4669s. This is the bot target, but there is very realistic, totally justifiable to see 1.272s, 1.618s on this. That would be just what they call an alt ABCD. And oh, gee whiz, look at that. Off of this entire range, chaos theory floating up there, 2.618, and off of this level, 4.669. So, oh boy, there's a whole bunch of confluence there. And on that Wall Street silver show that I did a while ago, I just simply said that they're going through the process of repricing all of these commodities one by one by one. And when I was on this show with them, I think I was showing them cocoa prices, COCA, cocoa. But what is, I can't remember what the symbol is. CC? Okay. Yeah, there's different ones. Anyway, we'll go with CC. There, boom. And I had said that, don't be surprised if you see one by one by one, each of one of these commodities all go through its respective repricing event. Is copper now the market du jour that they are repricing? Gee, let's look at that, eh? So, and I suppose you could make the argument if you just simply connect the dots, douche, douche, douche. Look at that. Nice. So, oh, what a coincidence. There's the bot objective. So, did we rally up into here? Maybe have some sort of crazy out blow off top, all the way up top there. Who knows? But that's pretty bullish looking chart. Higher highs and higher lows defines a bull market. And, the as I said to you before, the old adage about this market is this is the professor of economics. And really, it's just simple. Whether it be ramping up demand for electrical stuff for things like the electric vehicle market, whether it be, I suppose, the housing industry, they use quite a bit of copper. And of course, we are moving more electronic in our society. Pretty bullish looking chart. So, and actually, there are some copper stocks that I'm long. I know I'm long this CS Capstone Copper in Canada. Look at that damn thing go, eh? So picked up actually a bit more, I think, off of this consolidation in here. So my retirement account is pleased with that. Now, I mean, like, unfortunately, you can't chase something like that. But what this, the way the metals markets work, actually, it's kind of like a food chain. So, this big copper company, at some point, they're going to, run out of supplies. Now, I don't know whether it's this one in particular, but that's where we get the funny little juniors. This is a copper stock. It's going crazy. Copper commodities going crazy. So at some point, are these senior companies, are they going to start thinking about, damn it. I wanted to pull up just that little, there we go. Are they going to start thinking about replenishing their supplies? And this guy has one of the biggest land packages in the Golden Triangle of British Columbia, which is basically copper headquarters. So, and you can see weekly W's. So if you want to make a pile of money in the mining business and in the gold business, I think this is the place that you want to concentrate on. And in a weird sort of way, this is exactly the same thing that's going on in crypto. It's identical. It's kind of weird. Just as I don't know whether you're going to see a 10-fold, 20-fold increase in something like Bitcoin going forward. I mean, I suppose there are, Bitcoin maxis and all that kind of stuff. I don't know where the best place to show you this is. I guess we have these charts right here, right? This is our sort of time series forecast. I would not be surprised to see, 100 some odd $1,000 a Bitcoin. I did put out a funny little study the other day. This one, yeah, seasonality of Bitcoin. So I definitely think we're heading into a very friendly time of the cycle for crypto. So that's good. Exactly where it is we top out here, oh boy, that's anybody's guess. There's kind of a funny little, if Mr. Trump gets back into power. Remember, this was Trump's big bull market, and ironically enough, and I find this kind of funny, really. But the scuttlebutt right now from crypto people is they're rallying behind giving the CFTC authority to regulate the crypto space and move it away from Gensler and the SEC. And of course, that has everything to do with the executive branch. Mind you, the CFTC, to all intents and purposes, falls under the executive branch as well. But anyway, interesting how crypto is really trying to lobby for this latest regulation. And keep in mind, and I often joked about this. I mean, how on earth did you get Bitcoin to go absolutely insane like this through, Trump Jr. Well, I guess we'll call him Orange Toupee, whatever you want to call him. Anyway, there is October 2016 when he became president. And look how Bitcoin just like literally went straight up through his presidency. And of course, this was on the event of Bitcoin futures being listed and, of course, regulated by the CFTC. What was his name? Garzarelio or something like that. Anyway, we joked back then, like we called him jokingly, like Bitcoin dad kind of thing. He was trying to, justify Bitcoin in front of the U.S. government at that point. So it is kind of interesting that they're trying to lay the groundwork for the CFTC to regulate Bitcoin, which could, and if Orange Toupees come charging back into power, I think we could have a total repeat. Just keep in mind, Mr. Orange Toupee, he is out to make money. And, as long as it doesn't break any laws, and of course, that's a gray area unto itself. You know, one thing you should be well aware of is the CFTC. They're out to line their own pockets. These commodities traders. Half of the reason why the SEC came into existence was because the commodities guys absolutely raped the public in the 1920s. And they through the Great Depression, FDR had to come out and actually create the SEC to try and rein in all the horrible practices. So, how ironic we might be setting the stage for just some absolutely insane bullish action in Bitcoin. And, I suppose you could make the argument 70, 80,000, all that is 5X. That's not really that big of a deal. And what did we say? Well, I suppose copper, well, yeah, I suppose. Has copper from his base gone up 5X? I don't know. That's a good question. Of course, I just wiped out all those pretty little images I had on my chart, but oh well. Here we are, $5. And what was some of our crazy ass objectives? Well, it looks like maybe 2x from where we are. The base here was, I guess you could argue the base actually came in here. So what is that? 3, and they'll take us up to 8, better part of 9, probably hit $9 and some blow off top or something. So that's 3x. I suppose for Bitcoin, 3x would be 200 and change. So yeah, seems realistic. If we, as I said, if Mr. Orange Toupee comes charging back into power, oh boy, we could see some absolutely insane price action into this cycle peak. So kind of like, spring, summer, fall kind of idea. We are in the part of the cycle, and this is a big shout out to Neck of a Pencil, and you know who you are, and Ben Kovchek. When these guys did these studies up here using the fibs for time studies, wow, it's incredible how accurate these studies are. So I definitely, and I even told somebody else in a tweet, I said, I definitely think, October 2025, basically about a year and a half from now. Yeah, I guess still about a year and a half, somewhere in that area. That's where we should look for our big blow off top here. If the stock markets are breaking to new high, if copper, professor of economics, is breaking to new highs, gold silver ratios breaking to new highs, why wouldn't Bitcoin also enjoy a nice friendly window? Seems logical to me. I don't, does history repeat itself exactly? I don't know. I have talked to you guys repeatedly. I do think that this concurrent cycle is very much like this 15-16 cycle. The irony of it all is over the past couple months, I've walked you through this whole scenario where we were probably going to top about a month or so ahead of the halving event. Then we were going to go through a corrective window. We were going to base. And ironically enough, this whole range that is a 50% retracement, that low there, basically a Wyckoff check of all these breakouts. Nice base, and then get ready. That's what our next year and a half looks like, folks. And I will say that judging by the enthusiasm that I see around certain parts of this space, I'm hearing what the hell? What's the term that Seward uses? Of course, very popular for that Fink guy, and it will be his way to justify these, insane run-ups.
Real world assets. Is that what
Thank
you're talking
you. Chris saved me. Real world assets and tokenization of your existence. I think, the funny thing is back here, I even joked, although it doesn't seem like a joke so much anymore. We are all going to have a crypto. We are all humans, all taxpayers on the American system, of course, to be able to justify the insane collateralization of the human existence. We are all going to be on the blockchain, and you will have a mutable record of your entire life, whether you like it or not, including, when you pulled that little dog's tail back when you were in junior kindergarten. Your credit rating, of course, will be affected by your behavior forever. Anyway, I'm trying to make money while we're going through this digitalization of the human existence. And then see if you can go and buy an island or something at the end of this insanity and just check out of the nonsense. Just be sure to pay your taxes. Make so much money that you're like, so what? All right, fine, pay. I found it amusing that Alan there bitched and complained about the fact that he had to pay like $10 billion in taxes. He didn't mention the fact that he actually like literally banked, I think like 20 or $30 billion now. I don't think he needs to worry about money for the rest of his life. So, I would approach the market the same way. Just go make so much money that it's like, yeah, there's a tax bill. So what? I mean, I tell you, we're in the season. I even put a tweet out the other day saying we are now officially in the make stupid money part of this cycle. But what you have to understand is guess who's going to be coming in up top here and telling you to buy up here, right? That's the Gucci sweater people. And you got to be damn careful here. I still don't really think that we've actually like broken out here or not. And frankly speaking, I would even say that I would actually say, believe it or not, we are still in the process of trying to figure out what this top here just locally looks like around this big fundamental event. I certainly don't think that we've started a new bull cycle. I definitely think that we need to clean up this big bull run that's happened here. And, if you look at the daily chart, where is the daily one that I wanted to show you guys? Actually, I think it is this one. There we are. What does the corrective process actually look like? So this is now drilling down to a daily chart, daily time frame. And this is actually the tweet that I put out today, sort of describing the current price action. There is our halving event. There's the rally about a month or so ahead of the halving event. If this thing did what the 15-16 cycle did, then we really should come down at the very bare minimum to things like 50% of this range. But believe it or not, I like a nice stab all the way down into this area here. Maybe like, yeah, maybe play with the big fat round number 50 G's. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Right now, this is our playground, right? This trend line, which has been validated off of the failure of this level here, that up, down, up, that is a valid active trend line. And I think that is sort of brick wall resistance right now in this market. And I've told you before, and this is what we teach in our education program. I can't really even suggest that this bearish structure has been broken until I actually get a full-fledged W come in on the other side of this structure. This might take, 6 months, might take a year to play out, and then, orange toupees come charging into power, and in 6 months, the thing just goes straight up. I've seen that happen plenty of times, that's for sure. So, there, your primary trend line is that big, fat, ugly line up there. I think your fast trend line that sort of defined the recent break in price was this trend line here. It's good to see market broke that, and notice, look at that cute little W on the other side of this line. That said that this market had permission to move up here. And you can even see that this, the break of this downtrend line, it produced a bull EB equals CD. And then also, because we have a W here, we can do things like fog and bombs. Also, as well, because this is a valid market structure, we can do a trend channel off of this. And the trend channel, right? And actually, I spent a lot of time describing this last week. How do you describe why the market pivoted off of here? You draw this downtrend line off of that high, and this low over here. And that actually projected that the market was going to tag this as support. And look at what happened. I mean, it's incredible how that just rallied out of nowhere. And of course, it was an FOMC event. So, no, this stuff isn't controlled by the banksters now, is it? Anyway, so I do like the idea that we are going through, I would actually call this a dead cat bounce. And I think it's playing itself out. What's interesting about this, and I even just sort of stumbled upon this morning, was notice we had an FOMC event here. This was FOMC. You can't see it because the silly thing's in the way. FOMC up there. And notice we had it was a sell the rumor kind of idea and then buy the news. Then the market counter trend rallied and exhausted itself in reload zones, then started to waffle. Actually made one more FU high up against those highs. Unfortunately, probably got a lot of people thinking, hey, this is a new bull market, higher highs and higher lows, away we go. And then all of a sudden just puked out here. Right? This happened to be an eclipse event. I wonder if there's any celestial events coming up here. But what was interesting about this was that FOMC low, and the sort of duration of this entire up move was basically about 19 bars. So I just, for fun, I said, okay, well, we just had an FOMC event. What happens if we throw on 19 bars? And lo and behold, it's not today, it's tomorrow when the bastards come back from the weekend. So I wouldn't even be surprised if there's one more push higher here, maybe to revisit this trend channel line, the dotted line here, maybe hit this ABCD objective. But I'll tell you, this bull up move is getting a little bit long in the tooth. We've already hit 2.618 off of this W bottom, which by definition means if we reject off this 2.618, we should come back down and test the original market structure lows. And interesting how that is right along this uptrend channels line. And of course, we have a couple moving averages in there as support. And also, too, this is the dotted midpoint line of the actual full down channel that I actually think is what's driving this market right now, is this downward pointing channel. So I actually am a little bit leery about getting too optimistic right up here. I mean, if you had the balls and you wanted to step in off that OFOMC event, I mean, we had like absolute sort of the sky is falling kind of rhetoric. Market rallied smartly off those lows, smacked right into that midpoint of that channel, pulled back. Interesting level to pause here. I don't know if we drill down to a lower time frame. That was all this down here. So there was the FOMC event. Remember, we had talked about how this was so bizarre, and then notice the dead cat bounce rally right into this sort of trend line resistance, whole bunch of fog and bombs. Then we started rolling back over. Had a whole bunch of people get like insanely uberly bullish through here, and it was kind of like, oh, be careful. I don't know. There's still a lot of pointing down. And then lo and behold, some clown's birthday comes along here. And like literally the whole market just stopped on a dime right on that date. I was shocked at how incredibly cliche that was. Like everything just stopped. That was like last Saturday, maybe 2 Saturdays ago. Where are we here? This is daily chart. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9? Is that right? That seems a bit odd. Anyway, not quite sure if I have my math correctly here, but I thought, yeah, there is the 11th. It's already 9 days. No, not really. 8, I guess. Anyway, so last weekend, the whole market just stopped right on a dime there. So in a weird sort of way, it almost felt like the market just ran out of sellers there. Path of least resistance higher. We couldn't find any new sellers. So market worked its way up. Cute little W, fog and bombs. What a surprise. Doink, we stopped right there. And now we're kind of just like, okay, now what? I still think though that if we look at the lower time frames, I don't think we have enough structure here yet to actually call a top. And this, and if anything, is a really good lesson of why, V tops, very dangerous to call tops on V tops. Look how many times they've done this here. Every single time they put in a new V top, V top busted, V top busted. Okay, no, this is it. Let's get everybody freaking out. No, V top busted. Oh, goddamn sons of bitches. V top tested. All right, are we going to close down below here and M out? Nope. V top busted. And gee whiz, what a surprise. Look at what we got now. Another V top. So could we see at the very least some kind of concept that I teach that would sort of give us a little bit of warning that maybe we're kind of running out of steam here? That's that whole divergence concept, and you can see we are now painting higher highs in price, but we are making lower highs in our momentum indicators. Something's not right here, folks. So, I did say earlier that we are coming up. I mean, that is a reload short zone. That is Mountain Man right there. All right, there he is, staring you in the face. It is a 2.618. So to actually see some price weakness around this 2.618, perfectly normal, perfectly logical. We are now painting off the lower time frame charts, right? Lower highs and lower lows. So be careful here. Something doesn't smell right about all this. Having said that, is that actually a short signal? Not quite. I suppose you could argue, and it might be an interesting experiment for you if you like that ICT guy. This is kind of messy though. I think the market structure level, I think that's what he likes to call it. I think, believe it or not, is that low there. So what that probably implies is something like we have to see this market broken, the market actually to close below this low. Keep in mind, this is a 1 hour chart. And then if we get that dump through that low, then we start, and we want to see it actually close below this low. Then we know that the previous bullish structure has been broken, and I respect that. I suppose you could also make the argument there's another one right in there as well. But let's just go with this. Then we want to see our counter trend rally. And of course, we want to see that mountain man level traded too. I love that mountain man reference, especially when I'm hunting like futures trading ideas. That works often very well. But notice too that this could create like a head and shoulders top. Notice, look at that, that high right there. And I wouldn't even be surprised if this low actually corresponds with, like if we throw on things like reload zones. Watch what happens. Oh, look at that. What a surprise. So there's Beamish's reload zone up there against that high. So let's see how this develops. And then, ideally what this would turn into, hugs and kisses, please, and thank you, is we get something like that. And that is your Adam and Eve top. I'd love to see something like that. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here over the near term. Still quite a bit away. And because this is a V top, just like this V top, just like this V top, just like this V top, you're getting the idea. With this top has to be tested at some point. And it's very realistic that they go up and they actually take this high out because, like I had showed you there a few minutes ago, we still have, some technical objectives to the upside. There is the downtrend line off of this actual real top up here. And there is the AB equals CD. There is the natural normal AB equals CD harmonic objective. So could they be just sort of goading the public, Joe Sixpack, and all right, this is a top, maybe panic sell. And then they have one more push to new highs, and that, anybody who's shorted, they run their stops. This is an interesting conversation because I think this all comes back to who's driving the bus here. And sadly, I mean, I love you guys dearly, but I don't think that the crypto enthusiasts are actually driving the bus here anymore. It's these guys. Oh, there you go. Boom. So there's our happy little shorts still sitting up there doing absolutely nothing. There is the 2.618 that was already been hit off of the cash markets. So this thing's going to gap higher, later on this afternoon. There is the AB equals CD objective. And I think it's these guys who are driving the bus here. And it wouldn't surprise me if you actually see that the cash market backs off here a little bit. They actually encourage people to maybe even gap this thing lower and then ramp it up to hit this ABCD objective. And of course, we're going to run a whole bunch of early stops out. Question I will have here, of course, is do I get the bearish divergence? And you can kind of see the trade setting up. Notice MACD is well off of the highs, even though we've made new highs here in price. Notice RSI sitting at 67, so it's not quite overbought, but a reading above 70 will give it an overbought reading. And notice our buddy Willie. The Willie indicator is officially stupid. So you could make the argument that if we get any kind of break here, that will confirm the MACD div, it will confirm the RSI div, and it will break Willie. And actually, Willie's even in divergence there too. Also notice too, on this push right here, we had massive volume, but on the push into Friday, it really wasn't on massive volume. So why did they push this thing higher? That's a volume divergence as well. And that brings us to what I think is really going on here, which of course it just smacks of market manipulation, is the ETFs. You guys all wanted these ETFs. And I have a funny feeling this is going to be your worst nightmare if you are actually a crypto enthusiast and you're in it for the technology. Because I think it's going to be these ETFs that actually dictate what happens in this space. So on Friday, we had a big options expiry event. Friday, third Friday of every month, of course, is options expiry in Chicago. And these are the May BITO. Now you can just imagine this is on the Bitcoin ETFs prior to Fink getting all his ETFs. But oh my goodness, once his ETFs start getting options and stuff, keep in mind there's like 10 different Bitcoin ETFs. They're going to be able to put floors and ceilings in this thing through the options market really easily. And it doesn't matter how bullish or bearish you get about the spot market. These guys, I mean, this is a really good example where there were 10,000 contracts on this ETF at 27 bucks. That's a million shares. Or if this thing happened to exercise, and these are the put options. So Wall Street was heavily incentivized to make damn sure this thing did not go out below 27. And mysteriously, look at this rally. That was the Fed meeting there just a couple of weeks ago. Look how just mysteriously this thing just lifted for what I would consider pretty much no reason. So huge rally off the lows, and they parked it into the weekend 27.22. So all of these 10,500 contracts all expire worthless. No market manipulation here whatsoever, is there? You can see where the downtrend line is off of this ETF. So yeah, I can't really even get a buy signal on this. Of course, you heard me say it earlier, until I get a W on the other side of that trend line. Sloppy, I know it's not really the best, but you get the idea. So there's your playgrounds. And all they did was they just moved the market into a very convenient area so that they can buy all the hookers and blow they want up in the Hamptons this past weekend. I'm sure it was quite a nice weekend for the BITO market makers this weekend. That is an unequivocal home run, what they just hit there. So anyway, there's a funny anecdote from the derivatives market that I guarantee you nobody in the public has any clue what the hell just happened here. And yet I think it actually explains this whole rally perfectly, which is kind of ironic, but oh well. So my commentary here for this particular week. What time is it? 20 after. All right, I gotta keep moving this forward. I'm a little skeptical about the sort of legitimacy of new bull market kind of talk. Having said that, I did find it interesting that if we actually look at this Bitcoin price chart, that is technically a bought long level. So if this thing could just settle down here a little bit and give us some sort of, third test of that low and turn back up, the bot is telling you that it wants price all the way up here at 91,800 bananas. So, this is the interesting anecdote about being a trader's life. Is I would actually argue for most of the public, and especially if we look at things like the total crypto market cap kind of image, I think that this market's actually kind of trapped right now, and it can't really decide what it wants to do, because seasonally we have a lot of really heavy forces here at work. Sell in May and walk away. We just had the halving event. Market's got to digest that. A lot of these assets have gone zooming up. Maybe they need a bit of time to consolidate. What I kind of see is that there's an actual natural top that came in here, bearish market structure, blah, blah, blah. The market had permission. If it wanted to dump, it had the green light. But remember where we are in this ridiculous, monstrous cycle. This is the spring, summer. This is not the fall, winter scenario. So it doesn't really surprise me that the market actually is just going sideways through this whole thing. Now I don't think is the time to become like uber bearish of Bitcoin and crypto. I'd actually say the exact opposite. And what I've been suggesting to everybody is, and this is, pick your flavor. At TRI, of course, we have been very privileged. One of our, core partners, I think, is one of the smartest guys I've ever met in the crypto sphere. He's a whiz programmer. And I think he's a very honorable human being. So you put all of the three together. We have an analyst who knows his shit. Uh, we have somebody who's incredibly intelligent in navigating the space, DeFi and all that. I mean, God, Brian's experiences with DeFi. I had $3,000 stolen from me there a couple months ago because I'm not that tech savvy. Sjord, on the other hand, he is smart as a whip. And he's got a basket. This is a dozen names right here. There's also a new name that he's gotten all of us to, and really at no payment to him or to TRI, so there's no conflict of interest. But he has one story that he's very interested in. I threw 5 Gs at him because I'm more than happy to get 100x onto this next crypto bull. And I think we're in this kind of environment, folks. Right? Remember, this is this part of this cycle where Luna appeared out of nowhere through this part of this cycle, this spring summer, and went from like nothing up to over $100 a coin. And poor old fucking Novogratz, of course, went and got tattoos. That wasn't a smart idea. Doge went from like 0.007 all the way up to like 75 cents, another 100x, kind of idea. I mean, there's tons and tons of them. Celsius, right? Remember that story? I mean, they just go on and on. I mean, hell, FTX, right? Remember all that? I think that actually this cycle here, this is all about Solana. And I got to tell you, man, we're having just a blast trading on Solana. And Solana is somewhat centralized. So it actually makes it relatively easy for me to manage sort of what's going on here. I do everything off of this Jupiter. I love this Jupiter platform. God, it makes it so easy. And probably at some point there will be a pretty easy sort of alternative for. And I noticed that Ethereum fees are finally come back down to earth, so it's not so bad. But you can see, my goal, I've got this thing up to about 30 or 40 names here just since January, just, going and nibbling, selling halves on doubles, blah, blah, blah. You know how the story goes. And I want to get this thing up to like a good couple hundred names. I mean, I just want to own everything. And I'm asset agnostic. I don't really care. All I want to see are W's on bullish momentum divergences at the bottom of ranges. You know how this story goes. So, in fact, actually, there was one that we were looking at through the weekend, and it just took off like a rocket, but I can't chase that. So, anyway, this is one you can see where I'm bidding here. Actually, no, that's not my price. I'm bidding down here around 3. I don't mind owning some of that because that's a big breakout level historically. And then I've also have another bid down here at the bottom end of the range. But anyway, that's here and there. The point is this is this type of environment. I mean, look at this crazy GME. This is the kind of environment that we're in, folks. Remember, wife changing events. And actually, I just banged out a double on that wife. So I think I even put it out here this morning, right? Banging out doubles on these fun little poop coins. Here's a really good example. I don't really know this thing from Adam, but it broke out. I put my bid in at the W. I mean, it's not rocket science. It jumped up here, and they didn't even give me a fill on this pop, bastards. It's DeFi, right? I got my fill here yesterday. Yay! So now I have free coins on this thing. I got all my original capital back in my hand. And it's just the way it goes. I don't know where the hell this damn thing's going to go, but you should look at this chart and go, yeah, that's got Beamish written all over it. I mean, very typical what I do. This is this environment, folks. As I said there just a moment ago, this is your, where are we here? This chart right here, right? We are in finally, I mean, it took forever for us to get back here, but we're now in the make stupid money in crypto part of the market. I think it's probably also too, like you saw that little mining stock I'm interested in. I think the junior part of the stock market's going to start coming back here in earnest. And we're going to go through one hell of an orgy here. The irony of it all is I don't even think it really matters who wins the presidency. I think to all intents and purposes, Joe Biden is a career politician. So he's going to just do whatever career politicians do. So you noticed, of course, he started out when it was politically, the way to think, with all this sort of global warming nonsense and, Greta. Where's Greta? Eh? We don't hear too much about her anymore. Oh, what a coincidence. Because Fink sold all his Tesla stock. And as soon as he did that, ESG, no idea what that is. I haven't got a clue. All of a sudden, you don't hear about it at all. I mean, what a great anecdote about how programmed our media is these days, people. I mean, Jesus, you can't write fiction any better than this. I mean, it's shocking how programmed all this is. So anyway, point of the matter, you're right. Interesting enough, of course, is Mr. Fink has now hopped from ESG and all that nonsense. And of course, what is he full bore bullish of? And if anything, that should be the number one message to you, that things like this crypto legislation is going to get rammed through. They're going to try and take it out of Biden's sticky little fingers and remove, people like Gensler from the equation. And they're going to create one hell of a crypto orgy here into this cycle peak. So I don't know. Does anybody want to get rich? It's just sitting here. And as I said, I mean, we've got crypto analyst de jour, this guy Fjord. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to say, well, you know what? I'm a crypto expert, so you should buy the names I like. I mean, I you know me, I'm price charts, right? Hey, look at that, W's and M's, right? No, that bottom ends of ranges. Fjord, and he's running an FA portfolio on the site. If you want a really good quality sort of fundamental analysis list to follow, of course, you can come on the site. We even have cute little video descriptions of his ideas. So you can watch a little video review of what he has to say about each of these. And also too, I think he's reluctant to do dollar figures, but somebody was critical of us recently. Why are you doing the little old lady where you only invest, like 5-10 G's? I thought, I mean, aren't you guys at TRI? Aren't you guys like OGs? And well, this portfolio, I've basically told Stuart that I don't want to be investing in names like, UFO coin. Anybody remember that from previous cycles? Balls. Does anybody remember balls? I mean, those are the kind of names that I do for the little old lady portfolio. I remember all the pot coins and all that shit, but that's not good quality investing. And I'm certainly not going to put hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line for balls coin or UFO coin. Tit coin. Remember tit? But am I going to throw $500 at tits? And I love my tits, and I'm banging out doubles on tits. Yeah, sure, I'll do that all day long. But I'm not going to put hundreds of thousands of dollars at risk. Where am I going to put hundreds of thousands of dollars and invest serious money into this space? That's what Fjord's all about. And we are the rational analysts, right? The rational investor, rational. So here is, I think, what I would consider an excellent fundamental list to start your work off of. And then if you just want to simply apply the concepts taught at TRI to time your purchases on these, you want to keep in mind, there's many different participants in the marketplace. You don't necessarily all have to be leveraged traders. You can just little old lady your way into some of these. And there's a couple of these names that are kind of expensive right now. And I just don't think you can buy them because they're just too expensive, like the Rend. He's right up at the top of his range, and you may have missed the opportunity. But what I would just simply say with something like a Rend is you just have to be patient, and you just have to wait for the reload zones. There's a really good example, actually where I got into Luna. I don't know whether I can show you this or not. Let's see if I can do this or not. Might have it, might not. Not quite sure. Let's see. Uh, So I did fairly well on Luna. I had to be patient and wait for the market to come back down to earth, but I traded a nice setup on Luna and banged out multiple doubles, did very, very well. Um, but actually, no, that's not it. Where is it? Where did I enter this thing? It always happens. It would be nice if Twitter was a lot more searchable. How am I going to do this? I wanted to show you where I entered Luna. It doesn't look like I can. Darn. What happens if I go? Oh, darn. So frustrating. Anyway, oh, here we are. This might be it. Yeah. So, this might be like that rent. Just fully be aware. I had to wait patiently. Keep in mind, Sjord originally got long Luna from underneath $1, and I had to wait for this whole move to play out, then for them to just say something really stupid. And I seem to recall in here there was something about governance or something like that that knocked the market down. They brought it back down into reload zones, and then this is where I stepped in as a technician and bought the reload zone, which meant that I bought Luna at like $5. Um, so I could very easily see something like a Rend do something along these lines, and that's why I can't justify coming in on Rend right here because it's not how I trade. Um, maybe you could hunt things like a bot setup on Ren, but the way that says there it is right now kind of idea. For me to actually justify coming in, I got to see it trade back down into this area, reload zones. And it's just sitting here. It's a blue chipper, if you will, in this crypto space. It may not come back down. And as a result, I may not have the opportunity to participate. But again, I'm not going to chase. The point here, of course, is that Sjord with his FA, of course, you can see the beautiful W's down here. Made a lot of sense to be long down here. And I think this is basically where he is long. Huge run up. And I would just say that unfortunately, can't really do anything there. Just got to leave it alone. But there are other names on his shopping list that I think actually look very viable right now. So like this Hello, which I think is a really good example where he was identifying value on this thing down around a penny, 2 pennies. They ran it up to 20 cents. I mean, it's 10x on just, the anticipation of some sort of public event, TV show and stuff like that. And, following that event, they knocked it all the way right back down to a penny, 2 pennies here. I mean, isn't that is the definition of venture capital in a volatile market. But, Brian, because we are now back to things like reload zones, Brian, if he wasn't long, can start getting interested. So if you're like a little old lady and you're like, I don't really want to market time my purchases. I mean, I just don't have enough time. Maybe, and you like Sjord's idea, maybe just put yourself on a dollar cost averaging plan. Once a month, I'm just going to go buy a little bit of this now that it is at or below reload zones. Maybe you bought a little bit here, maybe you bought a little bit here, maybe you bought a little bit here. Just try and make sure that those average purchases are like 0.5% of your stake, maybe 1% of your stake. Don't go all in on just one purchase. We all know, we're not allowed to break that 5% rule. So just slowly nibble away. But there's a good example of one where you don't even necessarily need to be, hey, I'm a fancy schmancy market timer. Look at me. If you are fancy schmancy market timer, of course, I've talked to you guys about this lots. Let's wait for W's on other sides of trend lines, but this is definitely now coming back down into trade location. So, really all depends on what type of market participant you are. Market timers, I would say just be patient. Just wait for this thing to bottom out. Nanny nibblers, little old lady ears, I have no problem whatsoever. If you're like dollar cost averaging, that's the way I do things. So once a month, I'm in there nibbling away on names that are at or below reload zones. And there are a lot of names in crypto that look exactly like this right now. So you can't say there aren't ideas out there. Having said that, this is just my own personal sort of bend here. I'm leery about getting too optimistic about the market this particular part of the year. What we really should see, and isn't that bizarre? I totally had this on the chart earlier. Wow, that is so weird. What we really should see is we got to get on the other side. Maybe, oh, there it is. Oh, isn't that bizarre? We want to get on the other side of this July 4th holiday. This is super, super important. Seasonally, most of the kids are out of high school, or well, I guess out of high school by then. They're those people that are computer oriented, we'll say, are comfortably in mom's basement, all ready to go. And it's sort of like I don't know what it is. It's sort of like around this July 4th holiday weekend. People, keep in mind that there is a lot of tax driven incentivized selling. Like Australia, for instance, they have their fiscal year end, their tax loss selling window, I think finishes the last day of June, if I'm not mistaken. So there is a lot of pressure on the market. And then, sell in May and walk away. The commodities industry typically this is a weak time of year. I'm not totally convinced that this is a new bull market here by any stretch, kind of like what Paul Jay's saying over there. He's kind of sort of saying, range, and I would have to agree. And seasonally, this isn't the best time of year for us to get uber bullish here. If anything, what I'm a little worried about is the fact that this market is as strong as it is, because that leads me to believe that this is still in the process of carving out some local top here. And that worries me. As a technician, I love to worry. It's what I do for a living. In fact, actually, Johnny Oglin, my old prop firm boss, he used to always say, this job, you get paid to worry. That's what your job is. Notice how much hair John's got on the top of his head. Notice how much hair I have on the top of my head. At least I'm not going, well, actually, and I am starting to grow gray in the beard as well. So I'm worried, and I actually have heard some people starting to chatter about this, that we're going to get a nice little fuck you to new highs, and then they're going to dump the market. That would suck if they do that. So kind of like the REND, I can't think about being coming in on the buy side of Bitcoin and thinking you're buying value. I can't even really think of this as like a bot setup yet. Yes, we have done beyond 33%. So that happened into that Fed announcement and meeting. I wonder whether the next big Fed announcement, and when is the next Fed meeting? Does anybody have that date off the top of their head? I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhere in here in June. And Fed dump. I wouldn't be surprised if there's one more Fed dump here. Ideally, what I'd love to see is this market come down, put in a nice W in reload zones, and then we have, Adam and Eve, and I'd feel a lot more comfortable about this being a base. So seasonally, I'm very skeptical right now. Very, very skeptical. And then one other thing that kind of bugs me about this space right now, kind of what I was saying there a moment ago, about things like REND. There's a lot of names, like this LTO is a good example. where has that actually corrected yet? If we do reload zones off this entire range, that's where Brian wants to buy. This is where we are right now. Has that actually finished its correction? I don't think so. It's just Brian's opinion, right? Everybody's entitled to an opinion. But I suppose if we get a third test of this low and I got three higher lows to work with, and we are actually fully on the other side of this trend line, all right, maybe I can buy into the idea that we have indeed bottomed. But I don't know. I just don't. This, I've walked into this trap too many times in my career to get suckered into it again. I just don't feel very good about getting bullish about crypto with a chart that looks like this. Show me a chart down here making this kind of behavior. If we just do simple uptrend lines, right? Something like that. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't overthink this stuff. Well, there's our uptrend line there, right? Doink, 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 which means there's my bottom right at my favorite fib. So that's the kind of image that I'm like, I just don't feel good about this market right now. That's Brian's opinion. And of course, I teach you in the education program, especially all you little old ladies and you new people to investing, you need to stack the odds in your favor. Coming in here and buying right there, it's like literally a coin toss. You can see they're almost equal distances for a break to new highs or a break back down into buying zones. If you wait for the price to come down here, at least a test of the old highs versus a break of the previous highs, you can see how much smaller this box is compared to that box. And that's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to find these situations where bottom end of the range is a small box. Top end of the range, it's a big box. And I want to be in a situation where I'm buying where the big box is much bigger than the small box. That's really what we're doing here. So here, it's sort of like this is a coin toss. The odds are not in my favor. I mean, market might go up, but statistically, yeah, it's okay, but it's nothing to write home about. So just be careful on a lot of crypto. I don't like what I'm seeing here. Okay. I think that's about the extent of the market summary here today. If you have the chance, and this GME is a perfect example. This was really, this is like the balls and the UFO and all that kind of stuff. Just try and oh, look how close I came to my double on this best Nvidia fuckers. Anyway, that's another name for another day. These guys have earnings coming out on the 22nd, so I actually feel pretty good. We might see some more upside there. Not really in a big hurry to do anything there. Maybe while I'm away with Liam, I get my fill there. But this GME, what a great example. This is absolutely perfect analogy of what we do at TRI. I just forced myself. I saw that this thing was right down against the bottom end of the range. Steven was ranting about it on the site, like, hey, this thing looks cheap. What the hell? Do you think they might ever run this thing again? And bang, bang. That's 10x. That's a double of 10x. That's 20x. What the hell? I guess I'll take it. So, this is the balls. It's the tits. It's the THC coin, the pot coin. Same sort of logic. I love doing this, but keep in mind, I don't throw a lot of money at these names. And I'm not really stressed if this thing does absolutely nothing for 6 months. It's just sitting there, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you get handed an absolute obscene amount of money. So there you go. This is having fun in the market. And that's what we're into this silly season, people. We're into this part of the market where this kind of stuff is actually perfectly realistic. But coming and buying it there and expecting that, nah. Ironically enough, buying this here is kind of like coming and buying it here. You're gonna go, oh Jesus, I've run out of time. Okay, enough of that talk. Have to head on over and address questions. Was there only one question? I hope there was still only one question. Let's see how we did here. Where is that AMA document? over here. There it is. All right, let's see how we did. Oh, still only one. All right, so we'll finish off with this. And then I will head on over off to Liam. Wish me all luck with Liam. And we have a safe drive on the roads these days. But I tell you, China does one hell of a shit show. Man, it's gonna be an ugly cycle for China. Anyway, all right. So, hey Brian, rookie question here, but on the DB, Fjord was talking about a nibble on OPSEC. Could you go through or ask Fjord how to set up and buy things on DEX or Uniswap? Thanks a lot. Well, that makes my life easy. Good. I'm going to just simply say, let's ask this question on Tuesday. Let's ask this question on Tuesday with Mr. TRICTO himself as our resident DeFi crypto trading god. There you go. Boom. So that's probably the way that I would answer that question, because frankly speaking, I'm not an expert at this shit. I'm terrible at this stuff, as evidenced by me losing $3,000 to some fucking scammer. And then Fjord looks at my ledger thing and goes, well, you do realize you have open permissions for everybody to do anything they want on your ledger or on your MetaMask. And I have not even touched that MetaMask since. I won't even open that damn thing again. Anyway, I'm a dinosaur. So, all right. So there's your answer. Sorry, it's a pretty simple one, but Chris, what do you think? Can you maybe cut and paste that and just throw it right on Tuesday's little sheet that you do? Right, and then that way Stewart has no choice. He'll be hit with that right between the eyes when he joins us. Okay, so that makes that easy. And of course, we had a fairly lengthy rant there. Hopefully I've given you what I would consider pretty kind of, you know what, I hate to say it, but this is almost like if it's Bitcoin that you're interested in, you just got to leave this thing alone here. If anything, gee whiz, they're interesting how they're bringing the cash market down. Because if anything, you know what I want to finish off on is I want to finish off on the fact that I think that this market actually is heavily manipulated. And interestingly enough, if you are like that ICT guy kind of fan, then I think you can say that this was a market structure level right up there. And this is going to be a tough one, especially off of this cash market. Did this market actually close above that level? Ooh, that's a tough one. It doesn't look like it, eh? That's interesting. So I don't know whether Mr. ICT guy would say that that was a market structure shift message. This was sort of the last time that we had structure failure, that breakdown through there. We then W'd our way out, but I don't know. It doesn't look like that we've actually closed above that level. And actually, I even noted on this chart that I think that the major resistance line is this level right here. So notice they sort of dipped it into that wick there, and it was rejected, dipped it into this wick here, rejected, dipped it into this wick here, rejected again. That's actually looking like a nasty rejection there, eh? I had said that in the public tweet and stuff that I think that your upside resistance probably going to be like 78.6. There's a midpoint of a chaos level right in there. You can't really see it, it's purple. And there's AB equals CD level. And then, of course, this uptrend channel midpoint right in there. So that's sort of this reference here that I thought that probably the upside was limited by all these resistance levels all up in here. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. And I'd make the argument that support is this dotted line, midpoint of this huge channel. 13 EMA and 30 SMA. And interestingly enough, we actually had a bullish cross of the 1330. Usually on these moving average cross events, you get a bit of a kickback. So you could make the argument, you see it where we crossed bearishly here and you got a kickback and it actually forced the moving averages back bullish. We had a cross over here and you had this kickback from these lows back up to this high here. So we just had the cross. Where's the kickback? There should be a kickback where the market comes back and kisses that moving average. That's actually really good learning material if you are taking notes. It's a pretty good piece right there. So usually on the moving average cross, you get a check of the moving averages. And I think that's what's going on right now. So dotted line, trend line, two moving averages, horizontal support and resistance, the original 100%, this fog and bomb level for this breakout here, that should represent support. It is the original bot entry level if you are a bull. So I do like the idea that we're probably going to come into this area and find some sort of supports, probably against that candle body low into those tails right there. There's a bunch of trap bears right in there, so they want to get released. So I would imagine that, and keep in mind, what is that? That's 66,000 we're at right now. And this is 64. So you could easily see Bitcoin down a couple grand here, no problem at all. And I think in the short term, this is your trading range. This trend line to the upside here and this trend line to the downside here. And I wouldn't be surprised, come next week, we're still sort of playing around in that window. The question is, when's the next Fed meeting? Because we know that whatever the hell the next Fed meeting is, this market loves to sell off into Fed meetings. And I guess, to finish this thought, we had basically a 19 bar rally from trough to peak coming out of the last Fed meeting. And we have Fed meeting trough. And here we are coming into that 19 bar peak. So anywhere around this area, if a top came in here, it would not surprise me one bit. So just be aware of that, folks. And also, too, remember, we still technically have our happy little shorts working. Nothing's changed here. They're just sitting up there twiddling their thumbs with the stop at scratch. There's nothing to do there. Right. And then the futures, it'll be interesting to see where they open up the futures here this evening, because that futures are still happy little shorts just sitting there twiddling their thumbs. Is this enough to actually top the market here? If we did break and this did turn into an M and these things all broke down, well, you would have definitely the divergence. And then the question is, and this is what we're missing right now, is where does this M come in? Because we need an M here to sort of officially call an end to this bull run. And we haven't got that yet, so we're still waiting for that to develop. Okay, I don't know. What do you think, Chris? Was that the full meal deal? Oh, interesting. Nick says here, Mr. Druckenmiller unloaded his NVIDIA position. Well, I'll unload. This will be my fourth for just, tongue in cheek, having fun here. This would be, where is it? NVDA. Here we go. This will be my, this would be 4x for me off of the lows. So as you can see, I bought down at the bottom here. I already got one double off here. So if I do get another double off here, that'll mean I sold half. And that'll mean I sold the other half. So that means I'll only have a quarter of the original position left on the books. And I will have gotten two full sort of original investments out of this thing. So I don't really care what they do to NVIDIA. Just pop it up to that double level first and give me a nice little fill. And then they can do whatever the hell they want. All right. Thank you very much, Nick. Great addition. Chris, I think Chris gave me the green light. Half decent broadcast here today. Hopefully I gave you some value, stuff to think about. And I've made a positive difference in your guys' lives and girls and houseplants and all that. Because that's the whole reason why we're doing this, right? Trying to make a positive difference in this world. So, slow and steady wins the race. Try not to take any wooden nickels. I got off light today. Thank you for giving me basically the day off with regard to your questions. Welcome all students to the new program. Thank you, Adam, for giving me best wishes with Liam today. I appreciate it. Thank you, MM. You're a sweetheart. So everybody wish Liam and I the best of luck on the road today. And we'll see everybody on the site first thing tomorrow morning. And of course, 5 o'clock comes damn early for this guy on the wet coast trading crude oil on a daily basis. All right, have yourselves a great day. All the best, hugs and kisses. Remember what your number one job is. Don't take no win nickels. All the best. The only thing left is bye for now.